Are you trying to develop a property in Philly, but you don't have the right zoning? If your project doesn't have the right zoning, you're gonna need a variance, and getting one approved is not always easy. So in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how to get a variance in Philadelphia the right way, what you can expect from the process, and how you can increase your chances of getting approved. I have personally gone through the variance process, and I can tell you it's not the most enjoyable process, but it is definitely doable if you know the key things to look out for and if you engage the right people. So getting a variance in Philly can definitely be a headache if you don't know what you're doing, but the hope is this video is going to help you to avoid some mistakes. So whether you're trying to build more units than the zoning code allows, or you're just trying to change the property use, you're gonna need to know a few different things. My name is Marco DiGabriel. I'm a real estate agent, investor, and developer here in Philadelphia. And my goal is to give you everything that you need to profitably buy, build, and invest in real estate in the city. If you're a developer or investor who's looking to source land, analyze deals, or sell your next project, definitely shoot me an email and drop a comment below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So what is a variance and when do you need one? A variance allows you to build something that zoning normally would not permit. So basically, if you're looking at a parcel or you own a home already and you want to add parking to it, or you want to turn it from a single family to a multi-unit, that is going to trigger a variance if you don't have the correct zoning. So a lot of times people go into this process blind and they don't really know how this process is going to go. So they just basically figure, all right, I have this property, the zoning code won't allow me to do this thing, I'm just going to go through the variance process and try and get it approved. So that is, in my opinion, a mistake, because you can go for a variance for anything. Like, I could literally go for a variance to build my house from 2 stories to 25 stories, but that's just not realistic, and it is most likely not going to be approved. So early on, you definitely want to assemble the right team around you that is going to actually give you the best chance of getting the variance done. So that's my first tip to you, is just like having the right people around you. But step by step, going through this process, the first thing is going to be that research. So you're going to want to check with the Atlas tool to see what zoning is actually permitted on the site. And then again, if it doesn't match what you want to do, at that point, this is where you start to surround yourself with your team. You probably are going to want to hire an architect or a zoning attorney so that they can guide you on the next steps of actually getting you what you want to achieve. And a lot of times they have been through the process before, so they can really tell you whether it's likely that this is going to get approved or not. And they can't tell you with 100% certainty, but they can give you a pretty good indication of like, hey, yes, we have seen this similar variance get approved in this area, or no, this is probably not even worth your time to pursue, because variances do, they do take time and money. So basically, in order to trigger the process, you will put in your application for a permit, and most likely what's going to happen is it's going to get denied. So you're going to get a refusal letter, and this is something that you expect because you know that what you applied for was not in line with what the city is going to allow based on the zoning code. So they submit a refusal to you, which says we are not allowing you to move forward with this build unless you go through a variance process. So at that point, you're going to start to really have to go through the RCO process, which is the registered community organizations. These are the community organizations that are essentially tasked with being the voice of the neighborhoods that they operate in. So when you're going through this process, you're going to ideally have meetings with the RCOs, and you're going to want to get an understanding of what's important to them. You know, are they pro-development? Are they anti-development? Is, you know, what you're asking for reasonable to them, or is it against what they're looking for? And once you have an understanding of that, you can start to really hopefully create a pitch to them that is going to be appealing and that is going to make a good case for why they should grant you your variance. And one of the main things that you want to keep in mind is variances are basically granted based on whether or not there's a hardship. And that hardship usually cannot be a financial hardship, like, hey, I just want to change it from single family to multifamily because it'll make me more money. That's not a hardship. A hardship is like if the lot is like literally not able to be built into what the zoning code says it's for. Or, you know, for a different example, like if you have a lot that's like 1 million square feet and it's zoned for one single family home, that would make no sense. So at that point, it would probably make a lot of sense for you to be able to go and get a variance that would allow you to build more than one home there. So basically you have to base everything on a hardship. And you're gonna go in front of the RCOs, you're gonna have community meetings, and typically what's gonna happen is the community is going to vote either against or in favor of granting you your variance and approving it. And then at that point, if you get the approval from the community, you're gonna move forward to the ZBA. If you don't, you're probably gonna wanna go back to the RCOs and back to the community and revise your plans potentially to try and get the community support, and then go back in front of the RCO and the community to like pitch them on your new plans. And at that point, advance to the ZBA. Ideally, you want to try and advance the ZBA once you already have the support of the community, because they do weigh that pretty heavily when they're looking at whether to grant you the variance or not. So once you get past the RCOs, now you're at the ZBA. This is kind of like the courtroom for zoning. So you definitely want to bring your team with you to the ZBA hearing. That's your architect and your attorney. You want to be ready to answer any questions. You know, you could have neighbors who show up to the ZBA meeting to speak either in favor of your variance or against it. A lot of times the most vocal people are going to be against it. So if you have people showing up, sometimes it might be because they don't want you to be able to build what you want to build. And then ultimately the board is going to vote on whether to approve or whether to deny your variance request. And usually you're going to know within a few weeks. So it does take some time. That's another thing I do want to note is if you want to go through the variance process, you definitely need to have time. It's not going to be something that happens over the course of a few weeks or even sometimes a few months. Like personally, when I went through the process, it took us, I believe, over a year when all was said and done. And granted, that was during COVID. So things were a little bit backlogged and a lot of things were online that used to be in person. So it kind of skewed the timeline. But I would say if you need to get a variance, I would allot at least 6 to 9 months in order to go through that process in the city of Philadelphia. So that's just something to note. So just for a quick overview of the steps, you're gonna really engage the right professionals on the front end to make sure it's even worth going through the variance process. After that, they're gonna guide you. You're gonna have to try and talk to the RCOs, get the community support, go in front of the community. Hopefully they vote in your favor. And then at that point you move on to the ZBA, which is kind of like the final step of actually getting it approved. So at this point, if you don't get approved, you pretty much have to go back to the drawing board. And again, the main issue with this is that it just takes a lot of time to go through all these steps over and over again. So what I would say is if you have something in mind that you want to do and you're not sure if the variance is likely to get approved or denied, lean on the professionals to tell you, because a lot of times they know. If you have a particular property right now that you're considering getting a variance on, you can feel free to reach out to me. I am happy to take a look at it. I can give you some advice based on just my experience and what I know. And if it's over my head, I can definitely refer you to the right attorney or the right architect who can help you to explore it further. So if this video was helpful for you, definitely hit the subscribe button, drop me a comment, and I will see you next time.